The Huawei P20 Pro was recently released, and with it, or at least one of the first devices to have 3 cameras, and definitely the first device to have Leica partner with them for those 3 cameras. Now, in addition to the 3x telephoto zoom, the RGB sensor, and the monochrome sensor, it also happens to have the largest sensor of any of the devices that's out right now. So that, of course, begs the question, can it compete with the other top camera flagships out right now? So let's do a camera comparison. I'm going to take the Huawei P20 Pro and put it up against the iPhone X, the Pixel 2 XL, and the new Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. Now, the way I got these was I took the same photo on all of the devices. I also took the photo again with the P20 with night mode, which we'll get to in a minute just to show a difference between that. But then just put them all side by side, and we're going to go through them really quick and see how each one did. Also, feel free to click the link below this video in the description when you're done watching it if you want to actually download all the photos that I'm talking about, so that this way you can kind of zoom in and out on them yourself and kind of inspect them yourself. If you do repost them anywhere on social, though, just be sure to tag me at @TheUnlocker with an E missing in the word unlocker. Okay, so in the first photo, as usual, we have the iPhone X leaning a little cooler or bluer. In the white balance, this is kind of just a normal thing. The P20 Pro, though, has the most natural bokeh. Thanks probably to that larger sensor, I'm sure. The glass is still in focus while the background is blurred more than, say, the others are, especially when we zoom in. Now, iPhone X still seems to be the sharpest in this photo, but also has the most noise in the background when we are zoomed in as well. Now next, I've turned the P20 Pro onto night mode. And now let's inspect it versus the other ones. It looks like the night mode kind of made it a lot darker than the others, a little less detailed, etc., which is the opposite of what I really expected. But zooming in still shows that it has a much smoother bokeh than the other devices. Again, the sensor size is probably what's to blame for that. Next, we have a photo of the skyline of Vegas when I was there for NAB. The P20 Pro is much darker than the others. Zooming in, though, we can see that it is a bit sharper when looking at the words of Caesar's Palace compared to all of the others. There were artifacts also in all of the images when we zoom in. The Pixel 2 XL and the Galaxy S9 Plus moved the Caesar sign a little bit, while all of them besides the Pixel let some of the sunset in through the building. I'm going to just blame this on HDR across the board. Now, the Vegas photo with night mode. The P20 Pro did a much better job with night mode than without in this situation. It just feels like HDR on steroids to me when you look at it. Zooming in, though, we still see that it's darker than the others, but I'd say it's probably a little more detailed as well. Now, again, artifacts across all of them, similar to before, but a little worse in night mode for the P20 Pro. Side point, though, the fact that this is a handheld long exposure shot of 4 seconds is nuts. The same type of shot on a fancy DSLR wouldn't have even produced a usable image, so just want to point that out. Here is the Eiffel Tower in Vegas. I think we're starting to notice a pattern at this point. It looks like the P20 Pro is darker than the others. Now, I'm guessing this is probably an exposure choice by the software at this point. And for this photo, it was probably decided by the software based on the fact that that light is pointed right at us, I'm sure. There's still a ton of detail in the shot, though, which is interesting. All of them have the same lens flare, or maybe proof that there is life on other planets, I'm not sure, on the top left near the tower. Now, the lens flare is less apparent on the P20 Pro than the other devices, thanks in part to the darker exposure. Zooming in, you can see what I mean by darker exposure, but plenty of detail. All of the words are more readable on the P20 Pro than any of the others, and there is more detail in the iron bars of the tower as well. Now, using the same photo but with night mode, I have to say that night mode was just perfect for this particular shot. It brought back some of that brightness in the tower and the trees without losing any detail. Zooming in merely confirms the sharpness and added brightness that is perfect for this photo that came out of night mode. Okay, now this one is a little harder to compare because people are moving and that adjusts how the camera auto-adjusted the shot potentially, but for the most part, they all look kind of similar. I'd say the S9 Plus and the P20 Pro probably did the best job of not letting in as much flare, although I sort of like the flared shots of the iPhone X and the Pixel 2 XL, but that's a subjective choice either way. Zooming in, I'd say that the iPhone X is probably the sharpest, but the others aren't far behind, including the P20 Pro. Here's my typical iced latte or coffee shot that you'll notice are in all of my things. I really like coffee. Right away though, we see the smoother, more pronounced bokeh in the P20 Pro, thanks probably again to that sensor size. The iPhone is a little bluer, thanks to how its color balance is tuned compared to the others. Again, this is just kind of a personal preference choice though. You could fix any of these more blue or warmer pretty easily if you wanted to. Zooming in, they all look very sharp. The ridges on the lid look a little less sharp on the iPhone, but that's because the lid is tilted slightly, so it's not quite a fair comparison. But everything else in the shot is very sharp on all of them. Now the depth of field, you can tell, is much shallower on the P20 Pro. You can tell that by looking at the straw, as it is starting to already be blurred out, but the front of the lid is in good focus. Again, that having to do with that larger sensor. Okay, going through all of this right now, I'd say there's a few things. Now, I think it's still safe to say that the Pixel 2 XL has the best camera software. But the P20 Pro, I have to kind of give it for maybe the best hardware. Now, its photos did lean darker in exposure, and that's a software choice or weakness, depending on how you want to look at that. But in all of these shots, that much larger sensor is providing a lot more data, and it's kind of the hardware is carrying the lack of software, which is helping them tremendously in making just much better photos. Now, I think I might do a video or an article at least on why the P20 Pro's hardware is so impressive to me and why I think that the other manufacturers should really take notice of it. But suffice it to say in this video that this is definitely the best camera that Huawei has ever put into one of their phones. And while night mode isn't perfect, it is a super impressive and fun additional photography tool that you can use along with the 3x telephoto that Huawei has put on this phone. And I think all of that together, along with what we just saw in the photos, definitely finally puts Huawei at least at the very top of contenders for one of the best smartphone cameras out. And now, again, all of these are fantastic cameras. In fact, these are probably the best camera phones out, all of them. So you can't really go wrong with any of them. And I'm not gonna say that you should just buy the P20 Pro or the P20 because of the camera. There's a lot of other factors when it comes to a phone that you should consider when you're looking to buy a phone. But on the front of the camera, what do you guys think? Do you think that the Pixel 2 XL with its software solution is better? The Galaxy S9 Plus with its crazy fast aperture? The P20 Pro? Or the iPhone 10? Which do you think has the best camera? Let me know in the comments below and tell me why. I would love to actually read that and try to keep it constructive, guys, and be nice. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like this video though, please thumbs up it or share it. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you really liked it, subscribe to the channel. And make sure to hit the bell next to the word subscribe so you get notified when I do new videos. Otherwise though, regardless, thanks for watching.